Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out on a rainy Saturday morning to hear about all the environmental initiatives that are going on in our town. So I think it's really important that we're here sharing information and people are learning and we're seeing what we're doing to make Delray Beach a better place to live and a more sustainable and resilient community. So my piece is about what we do. It's the urban tree canopy. And so that is basically something we started in 2016, an Urban Forestry nonprofit, because there were members of the community that were concerned about the loss of tree canopy. So losing shade trees, maybe no trees going up or more palm trees going up. So it was really a meeting of citizens that were like, what can we do about this? And in order to work with the city, the answer was really to start a nonprofit and work collaboratively with the city in order to further these initiatives. And that's really what we've been doing for 7 years now. So it's really cool. You'll hear a little bit about the progress that we've made and really the model that we've made that now is probably the most effective model in the state of Florida between a nonprofit and a city in order to engage residents and maintain or increase the tree canopy. So, really it was a collective effort to improve the environment for people and nature. And this has really been a success story, I think, of the City of Delray Beach, that we're able to have this type of progress because it's been, whether it's a family foundation or if it's high school students or it's someone, Jen's a board member of ours, Stephen's been with us from the beginning we do this. He's a teacher at Plumosa. It's been a collaborative effort. The list goes on. And that's also in working with the City of Delray Beach to, that they see the importance of the tree canopy. So, here, as far as the vision, the more you get into working with trees and sustainable green spaces, they really do strengthen our environment, economy, society, and health. So if you think about all of those things and what trees do, we're really in a good position as a nonprofit because you can really work with a health foundation on the reason that you plant trees, or for economic purposes of having, a shaded area to, for people to dine out or to spend more money on Atlantic Ave. There's reasons of just for mental health reasons of having like a nice green space near you to be able to walk outside. I mean, why is this art exhibit up here in the corner like so soothing when you walk into it, of just being immersed in trees? Because it really has positive health benefits for us. So our values: accountability, community, environment, equity, and fun. We're a member of the Arbor Day Foundation, so some people might think that we're doing something that's extremely innovative, but we're really lucky because we've plugged into this group of urban forestry nonprofits that's really been doing this since the 60s and 70s. In some places, you talk about like Tree People in LA or Trees Atlanta, Keep Indianapolis Beautiful. These groups have really been doing urban forestry for decades, and they've had good results, and that's who we've plugged into, and they're also funding partners of ours. So, as far as the things that trees do, I mean, probably a lot of you know this. The biggest one right now that we're all talking about is heat. I mean, they reduce the temperature. And so, some things quote as 10 degrees that you're there. So if, there's a big difference if your kids are gonna play outside, if there's a 10-degree difference, or go outside in the summer, if you're waiting at the bus stop or you're walking to school, they really are reducing the temperature. They reduce the energy usage if one's over your house, or cooling your house in some way, improving stormwater drainage and reducing flooding, cleaning air. Like, the list really goes on and on about what trees do for a community, and that's why we're planting them and maintaining them. So a little bit numbers here. The tree canopy is, this is a study that shows you what the tree canopy is in a community. And so that was one of the first things that the City of Delray Beach did, was fund a tree canopy study. I think that was 2018, 2019 when they did that, because you really need to get a baseline. What is our tree canopy in Delray Beach? So we found out that we had a 23% tree canopy. And in that study, it tells you of possible planting areas and how much that canopy could increase. So I'll talk a little bit about that 10,000 tree campaign, why we're here, and how they came up with that number. But to kind of compare from some of our surrounding communities, you can see there We did a study recently in the Glades, and it was 6%. So, I mean, it shows you, Liz is here with the National Wildlife Refuge Association. We partnered with them and we planted trees and we gave out trees in the Glades. Because, I mean, it's one of the worst tree canopy percentages that people have seen on a national level. And that's taking out agricultural land. So, I mean, that's in our own county, and that's at 6%. There was recently just a newspaper article this week in Tampa Bay about planting trees and trying to combat the heat. And they said they were focusing on their lowest tree canopy areas, and those were at 20%. So, I mean, it kind of shows you we really need to at least maintain this 23% and not increase it. Here's some communities that have done a good job at maintaining green spaces and planting. It kind of gives you an example of kind of where we're at. You know, you go to Atlanta, 47% tree canopy. You know, Savannah, obviously it's noticeable right when you get there. It's 44% tree canopy. Even DC, they have, you know, very concerted effort to maintain their trees. And that's what we've started in Delray and we're doing with the city, is now there is this effort to maintain it. If there is no effort, there's a lot of communities around us that would like to have something like we're doing with the city, but they don't have it and they're losing tree canopy. So, tree equity, this showed us from the report, is that trees aren't evenly distributed. So Delray had a 23% tree canopy. If you go over here, the northwest and southwest neighborhoods, they had about a 13 to 17% tree canopy. You're over here, Palm Trail, go a little bit past it, Old Germantown, those are 44% tree canopy. So I mean, if you're thinking about all of those benefits of what trees do, they're not evenly distributed among the community. And that's why from the very beginning with the city, we focused on different zones of the community, and we really planted and gave away a lot of trees in the northwest and southwest neighborhood in our first years. Now we've kind of ventured out to other places because we saturated it as much as we could with parks and schools and churches. But the thing with tree canopy is that, you know, like we said, it's just they're not evenly distributed, and you've got to focus on where trees are needed most, and we've done that really from the beginning. About that campaign, though, this is kind of a map. If you really look into it, you can see how much correlates with race and income of where trees are. That's not a Delray story. This is a story of redlining, and really the whole country has this. If you see the history of redlining, you can really correlate today with the history of tree canopy, and there's various reasons for that. So in Delray, this is kind of what we came up with the city and with the engineering firm that did the tree canopy assessment, is why do we have a 10,000 tree campaign? It's because that is an actual number based on the possible planting areas that we have in the community, and that's a conservative estimate because we really have up to 39% that we could plant. Unlike Boca, they have a 26% canopy, and the most they could possibly have in their study was 29% or 28%. So we have the ability to increase our tree canopy in Delray, and it takes a lot of hard work to do that. We meet with Kent and Mary every 2 weeks. Kent meets with Terrence regularly. You gotta constantly be on it to find places that everyone agrees upon that we can plant trees and that, you know, will grow up into healthy trees over the future, that we're not just, obviously, we never really plant in a place that, you know, the trees aren't gonna last there. So they came up with, if you planted 10,000 trees in 5 years, that would increase the canopy to 28%, and that's what we're doing. So we plant and give away 2,000 trees a year. So like this interdepartmental team, it's sustainability, parks, public works, utilities, special events, the police. This has been a collaborative effort, and we're fortunate to be able to working with the city because there's so much, I was gonna say interference, but there's so much work that has to be done to work with all the departments in order to get an approval on a possible planting area before we even get to the point of planting. Fortunately, that's what I think, you know, that's what's really developed in 7 years, and that's working really well now, and it's taken that 7 years to get to this point of this collaboration. And so what does that mean? So like this example, this is Carver Middle School. Carver Middle School, if you came up on the front on Atlantic, there are really no trees in this area. This is the back and the front parking lot. So we were able to plant 210 trees there last year. We planted at Carver Middle School, we planted at Plamosa, we planted at Atlantic High School, working with the school district and the city. And we also planted at multiple city properties as well. And so, I mean, there's studies that show that if you go to a school with more trees on it, I mean, that your attention rate is higher, that you have less particulates in your bloodstream. There's all these things that kids should be on campuses that have tree canopy on them. And so Josh is going to tell you about kind of how we engage the community and how we work with the youth tree team in order to do this, because we then maintain the trees for a year after we plant them. So is this where we're switching off?
I guess we can.
Yeah, okay. So Josh will tell you a little bit about all the different types of events that we have in order to get the trees in the ground. And I'm happy to answer any questions too at the end. So thanks, Josh.
So Mark talked a little bit about why we all need trees, specifically here in Delray Beach. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we are engaging the community and actually getting the trees in the ground with the various programs that we're running. So one of the first and most obvious ones is that we are planting on city property. So this means places like public parks, city-owned streets so that we can provide shade on roadways, and places like that. So we will set up a tree planting event. We will engage local volunteers and plant anywhere from 50 to maybe even 150 trees at one single location in the morning. So that involves the community itself. As Mark mentioned, we will maintain those trees for a year. After that year, they should be established because we're planting Florida natives, and at that point, they become city property. Another area that we are also planting is what we call our partner properties. So these are places like schools or places of worship, community organizations, so that places that a lot of the community is involved in but are not actually city or municipality owned property. So just this past year, in the last 12 months, we did a major campaign of planting pretty much every school in Delray Beach, and we added 600 trees to the schools were Atlantic, Carver Middle, Plamosa, and Orchard View. And we have plans to add a couple more, but probably a few hundred more to some other schools around for all those benefits that Mark had mentioned. The other big way that we're doing this is through tree giveaways. There's only so much private property and big public partner space that we can plant in. So that means the community really needs to be involved planting at their house. So we take a lot of that burden away from them. We will put together the tree list, and we will give out free trees. So just about a month ago, we were right here at Old School Square passing out free trees, and these are limited when we are working with a city like Delray Beach. It is just city residents that can come get a tree, so these trees are staying within the city limits because it's all funded through city tax dollars. We also do tree giveaways throughout the county and other cities as well. Next week, we're going to be up at John Prince Park. That is actually open to the entire county because that's funded through a different group, Keep Palm Beach County Beautiful. But tree giveaways are really great. We've got an assortment of trees. Usually we'll give out between 100 and 300 trees at one giveaway. We've got options of native trees and fruit trees, and usually there's a limit of 2 per household. One of the other programs that we have is our Urban Orchards. If you've ever been to Catherine Strug Splash Park here in Delray Beach, right next to it is an urban orchard that you can actually see right off 95 as you're passing the Atlantic, or approaching the Atlantic exit. This was, as you can see in this top picture, this was an empty, rundown lot that literally became just a dumping ground. And through some work with community partners like TD Green Streets and a bunch of other groups, funding was made in place to turn this into an urban orchard. So there are literally dozens of fruit trees that people from the neighborhood can just come up and pick. This is also where our youth tree team happens to meet, so they've seen very firsthand how cool that space is. There's mango trees that stretch, a couple hundred yards. So it's a really cool place when everything is blooming, helping to fight food insecurity issues, and cleaning up a really just kind of eyesore in a neighborhood and making it a better place. As we mentioned a couple times, our youth tree team, we've got a few members right over here. So these are high school students that are part-time interns that work with us. So they are out in the field or at a nursery in Boca helping to grow up some of the trees that we will use for planting and giveaway projects. They're watering and mulching and pruning trees that we recently planted. They're conducting community outreach, and then they also get to go on what we call environmental excursions. So, like Liz, they were doing the BioBlitz this morning. They've gone on rafting trips. They go visit science museums, and it helps foster environmental stewardship, and it also allows them to learn more about potential green careers and green industry. So. These kids are really awesome. We've got a full team of them. We're actually expanding that team later this fall thanks to some more funding from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. These are our great partners that are helping fund this group. We've also got some tree technicians. Stephen right back here is one of our tree techs. They are the ones that are actually helping maintain these trees on a regular basis, who are full-time staff of ours. And that is also help funded by the Florida Forest Service. As I mentioned, we've got a tree nursery in Boca off Glades and the Turnpike. This is a really cool space where we have about 6,000, 10,000 trees now?
Six, yeah.
6,000 trees or so right now. So there we are sowing seeds. We are transplanting from smaller pots to larger ones so that they can grow up big and strong. And then those are used for our giveaways or our planting projects. In the past, when we first started, we were having to order from nurseries on a constant basis, maybe a few days before the event. We are not completely self-reliant just yet, but we are on pace to do that. We've got a really amazing nursery director who came over from San Francisco and ran a huge place out there. So our hope is that we will be able to sow all the seeds ourselves, grow all of our plants ourselves, which will make that a lot easier for us. And we also run volunteer events at our nursery. So if you can't come out to a planting, you can join us there and get a little behind the scenes look about what we do. This is our tree plotter system. This really just shows you where all the trees that we have planted. So this is just a quick shot of Delray Beach. It only shows about 2,000 at a time. But just from here, you can see Atlantic, Linton, and Lake Ida is basically what we're looking at. And that is just a handful of the trees that we planted. So you can really see that we are making an impact right here in Delray Beach. This is just, come support us. We do events all the time. You can join us at a tree planting. You can come out and get trees at a giveaway. As I mentioned, since I have to plug it, next weekend we are doing a giveaway up at John Prince Park, but if you don't want to travel all the way up there, in October on the 21st, right as the green market comes back, we will be right here at Old School Square, passing out a couple hundred free trees. We've got tree plantings at Lake Delray on October 7th, and we might be adding another one in September. So just visit us at communitygreening.org and you can find more about that. And then this is just a quick little video to show you a little bit more about what we do.
There's nothing else that a city can put into place that's going to appreciate and value over the years other than trees. We work with a lot of municipalities who have tree planting campaigns. So we'll let them know what they need to do in order to get that campaign started. And it is kind of that drop in the bucket of like, you can do something, not just for your community, but also for the environment.
Community greening does more than just plant trees. They build community. I'm Rebecca Harvey, Sustainability Coordinator for the City of Boynton Beach. The impacts are tangible. We've seen our parks getting greener. As many open spaces as we can identify, we're filling in with trees. And not just the parks, but also on the streets. And that's where you see the most transformation of the neighborhood.
This is one of the best ways and one of the cheapest ways to combat climate change and to get people involved in improving the environment. It's cleaning the air, cooling the air, reducing crime, reducing flooding. It looks beautiful. And if you're creating canopy over streets, you want to be outside more.
It was interesting when we started it, we knew that trees make our communities healthier, but we didn't really realize that the act of planting trees on how much that strengthens our community at the same time.
But what I love about working with community greening is the results are right there. Overnight, you go from a concrete jungle to a beautiful green vegetated area.
They always say the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The best next time is right now.
Okay, well, thank you.